That's not bad. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. I'm just waiting for you guys to get their drinks. I'm just going to stand here on one thing for a moment.
Hello, everybody. This is really exciting. But first of all, I need to say what a beautiful crowd we've got. It's really, really lovely to see so many familiar, friendly faces. And thank you for coming out this afternoon. Before we get started with the main event, just a couple of my air hostess moment where if there aren't toilets here, so if you do need to have a comfort break, it's across the road at the pear tree, scuffle in and back, and do come back, don't get stuck over there. We're much better off here. Also, we will have the opportunity to buy books and stuff afterwards. Okay, so that's the main info bit. So I am Charlie Roy, and I am one half of Studio Rhubarb Press with Duncan. Duncan, wave. There you go.
Hey, Duncan.
And it's a real delight to have you here this afternoon. We have been saying for a long time that we wanted to have a bit of a celebration of what we do. We're very proud of what we do. We're very proud of the poets that we work with. We're so thrilled with all the things they also then go on to do elsewhere. We're just delighted and it's wonderful and we love it very much. And we wanted to have a bit of a celebration. We also wanted to have a celebration in the afternoon because we know that a lot of times our events are in the evening. So it was nice to be able to open that up to people who perhaps would prefer to come in the daytime. And we're so thankful to Lighthouse Books. Sorry, pause for sound effects. They're not coming to me. Great. So we're really, really thankful to Lighthouse Books. This is a wonderful space. It's absolutely lovely. And they are just such a great bookshop to work with. They've really felt like collaborators with us. And so it's a nice opportunity to celebrate what they do as well. I think independent bookshops are really like the lifeblood of what we do at Studio Rhubarb Press. And so we're just delighted to be doing this here. Just a wonderful, wonderful team. I'm sure you all know that, but in case you didn't, now you do. We have, some of you might not realize, Studio Rhubarb Press has now been going for over a decade. We are 11 years old. We didn't do a 10-year birthday. And there have been a few crew changes over the years, but Duncan and I have been doing this together for I think 6 years or 5. It's been a while. It's longer than 2. it's definitely longer than 2. I'm really pleased to see as well with us here today someone who kind of stepped in and passed that transition period and really helped us kind of hone our focus. I can see she's already looking somewhat, making a face. But Beth over here, Beth was our commissioning editor for a year and was just terrific to have on board at that point. And it was just wonderful to have her oversight. And it's been lovely to have your friendship as well for Studio Rhubarb Press over the years. So it's nice to be able to say thank you to you in person because it meant a lot to us then and it still means a lot to us now. Anyway, you're not here to hear me witter on about all of this. You're here to see some amazing poets. We're very, very lucky at Studio Rhubarb that we have incredible poets entrust us with their work and with their words. We focus on pamphlets. Some of these, and often are debut pamphlets, and these are poets who have come to us with their work and given us that very first seed of what they're going to do. And we find these exciting, just absolutely thrilling, meaningful, beautiful beautiful pieces of work, and it is an absolute privilege to be able to take that and to put them out as pamphlets. We tend to do them in sets of 4 every year. So you'll notice, those of you, I know there's some keen stewed rhubarb collectors as well. And you'll notice that they come in sets of 4 in terms of what they look like. And then we have what we think of as special projects, which are books or special collaborations, or perhaps someone we know has come to us with a particular vision of something they want to do, and we're able to do those as well, which is absolutely lovely. We've done some really fun and exciting collaborations over the years as well. This afternoon, we have got a lovely lineup of some just terrific poets. If we could have had absolutely everyone we published, I would have done. There was one point when I was saying, right, okay, can we fit these extra bits? Right, no, we're gonna have to like work out, who's gonna go on and what the pairings might be and so on. But it's been really fun. It was lovely revisiting some of the work that we've done previously. And I'm very pleased to say that a great deal of that is on the table there. But not only do we get to have those things that we've done historically, we've also got on the table some books that our poets have gone on to do afterwards. And we're so proud of them. It feels like it's just so nice to be at that point with the pamphlet where we can be like, oh, let's go on. And some of the poets have gone on to do absolutely incredible things and are reaching amazing heights with their work. And it just makes us so happy to see that. It's just a wonderful thing. We're going to have 6 poets for you this afternoon. I do have a small cloud, which is that our musical entertainment, which we'd hoped to have at the end, their car broke down. And so they're not going to make it. However, we're going to have an absolutely terrific afternoon anyway. And we've got 6 wonderful poets. We're going to have 2, then a wee break, then 2, then a wee break, and then 2. And in the wee break, well, it could be a wee break. But also you can buy some books, have a little chat, get another drink, and it's going to be lovely. Everyone down with that? Smashing. So we have a cracking lineup. We have Olivia Tomakos, we've got Alec Finlay, we have Catherine Wilson-Gary and Linda McMahon, and we have Ian McCartney and Hannah Labrie. It's going to be amazing. So we're going to start then with Olivia in a moment. Olivia it was a debut pamphlet this year with us. Absolute wonderful piece. And I think I'm just going to let the work speak for itself. So if you could give Olivia a massive round of applause.
Hi, everyone. Oh. Yes, this is my debut pamphlet, Love and Other Cancers. And I just want to say thanks so much to Charlie and Duncan for, believing in the work and giving me the chance to publish this, and also for Lighthouse for housing us today. It's so nice that everyone came, even though the sun isn't out. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing everyone read today. So the first poem that I'll read is actually the last poem in the pamphlet, and I've never read it through this way before, but some people have said to me that they read the pamphlet and it's almost like something clicks at the end and they start back over and want to read it again. Because part of the poems are about I had cancer in my eye, and due to the radiation, I have no cancer now, but I have vision loss in the left eye that will eventually go blind in the middle. So a lot of the work is about that experience, and also just relationships and how they're affected by illness and cancer specifically. So this last poem is called Losing Vision in the Shower. If I could look away, I would. But I know this may be the last time. Tomorrow I'll see less. Amethysts will mute, their shimmers burn my eyes, or worse, they will not shine at all. One day, with my right lid closed, I'll feel the wind, wet, imagining pinwheels in the rain. It's quiet here. My spine to the light, fluoride water falls translucent, just flicks of white, twinkling, warm, but turning, illuminated from behind, a change. White and violet curtain tinsel shot with glitter, like sun reflections on a rippling lake, or fairies dancing Horopo and Kainama's angel. Will I be first to hear the trumpets? Vibrations deepen, vision dulls. What if angel song as water spraying time-worn rocks? In the end, will I hold the scales, the sword, or like a sandworm, will I burrow, sharpen my extra teeth, iron on iron, bone on bone? I don't know if it's worse to know color before losing it, or to never have known it at all. For shapes to soften bit by bit, or to disappear all at once. No glass clarifies the obfuscated page, this cumulophone might. They say blessed are those who have not seen yet believe, but I have seen, I have seen, I have seen. The next poem I want to read is about just an experience that I have with doctors sometimes when they are listening, but they're not really listening. Maybe you all have experienced this as well. And I feel like this can be used in other situations with different people who just think that they know what you're talking about before you start talking. If I can find the poem. When speaking to doctors gets you nowhere. Box, he says. Yes, dear, that's what you said. Red box. No, of course, reddish. It's a reddish box. See, I agree. But what if the box was just a square? He says, no, I know it's a box, but let's, for argument's sake, say it's a square, and let's say it's a blue square. No, dear, I know it's red, reddish, but what if it was blue? How would you make it red again? Yes, I'm asking you, since you're saying it's a reddish square. Yes, box, but sweetie, he says, we're pretending it's a blue square, so how would you make it red? Well, love, if you think the square is red, then you should know how to make it red if it's blue. I'll believe the red square, yes, the reddish box, is red when you can tell me how to make the blue square red again. Of course I agree, he says, but let's say instead of a square, it's a red circle. The next poem is something I wrote. I was listening to a lot of button poetry during the lockdown, just as like something to have on in the background. And I heard a poem by Sabrina Binaim. It's called The Truth Has Three Sides. And I really loved the way that she organized her poem. So I was trying for a long time to make something kind of similar. And this is what I wrote. 1. I make plans. I fall asleep with pens in my bed, calendar bookmarked 3 years out. I love children, but struggle to keep plants alive. I'm not sure where to call home. I'm afraid of needles, small veins severed too many times. Sometimes I try on other people's skin. At night, I chew my bottom lip till it's swollen, grind my teeth till my jaw is sore. I wasn't sleeping when I met you. I like the weight of books in my hands and piano keys under my fingers. I wish I could impress you with music like you impress me with courage. I called you from the clinic lot when the doctor heard my heart murmur. The day you said, we can do this. 2. You hate plans. You say we shouldn't travel together because you go with the flow, picking up your pack, leaving on a whim. You want a farm, a greenhouse with figs and purple sweet potatoes. You don't think you'd be a good father. You like taking your glasses off the bridge of your nose at the end of the day. You're calm and crisis, experienced for breaking almost every bone in your body. You say you like my poems, so maybe I'll write about how you hate your birthday or how scary movies make you laugh. One night we were on the phone until your sunrise. You said you needed to listen to me talk. but the call dropped halfway through my knock-knock joke. When you can't sleep, you walk outside and stare at stars. You tell me you've been looking for refuge inside yourself for as long as you can remember. 3. I make plans, but you hate plans. You leave on a whim with your pack while I'm picking up my calendar bookmarked 3 years out. You say we shouldn't travel together because you go with the flow while I fall asleep with pens in my bed. You don't want to repeat the mistakes of your father, but children love you, and I love flowers and figs, but struggle to keep most things alive. You want a farm, to build a greenhouse, plant purple sweet potatoes. I'm not sure where to call home. Sometimes, in crisis, I try on other people's skin. At the hospital, I pretend to be calm like you as needles burst my veins. I'll help carry the weight of finding refuge inside yourself. With courage in my hands and books under my fingers, I can play music for you, releasing piano keys like removing glasses at the end of the day. When you can't sleep, you walk outside. I wasn't sleeping when I met you. I chew my bottom lip till it's swollen, grind my teeth till my jaw is sore. But the night we were on the phone until your sunrise, you said you liked my poems, and I believed you. The doctors were wrong about the murmur. Unsurprised, I told them about you. Body healed a dozen times over, who sleepwalks to the stars, but always comes home to me. Done better with my tags here. The next poem that I want to read is called Environmental Impact. And it's something I wrote just, I think, sometimes it feels like, there are so many things that we could be doing to help our planet, help different causes that we care about. But at times it feels like too much. Like there are all these things that you want to do, and it's really hard, especially when you feel like, you make a decision to not eat something or to attend something, and you get a bit overwhelmed by it all. So environmental impact is about that feeling. On our first date, I tore my plastic coffee lid to shreds, tore next time to request a cup without one, except then I don't know what I do with my hands. Always fidgeting with chains fastened around my neck, I accidentally broke the necklace you made me. At family dinner, your mother hovers in the kitchen, asks why I'm rummaging. Later, you reasoned, she just doesn't know you yet, implying you did. Every pot has a lid, but these days we feel more like Tupperware, trying to fit the wrong pieces together. FaceTime dinner dates cut short by your strict sleep schedule. When I asked you to dream next to me, you weighed my presence against the Earth's and found I wasn't worth the carbon emissions. I'd even stretched my truth to fit your taste at the cost of consuming bacon and brie. Fuck it. Tomorrow I'll walk to the cafe where we met, order a cappuccino to go, and take a bite from a warmed ham cheese croissant because it's only £3.95. And honestly, the tofu burger sucks. This next poem I want to read is called After Isabel Gowdy. And Isabel Gowdy was a woman from the north of Scotland who was accused of being a witch. And I love her because every time, I think maybe 4 times they accused her of being a witch. And every time she said, yes, I am a witch. And here's a list of all the witch things that I do. So she's kind of gone down historically as a description of witches and their witchcraft. But I was thinking a lot about lineage and history and what people remember us for. And maybe for her, she lives her life every day, not really thinking about being a witch, but this is the most important thing to us as we remember her on her Wikipedia page. So this is After Isabel Gowdy. This morning, I refused to hear birdsong. They edit out the best parts of my life until I am anybody. Wear, wash, hang, release. I'm starting to think I never asked for enough. My bent back cracks like kindling. A bruise blooms purple on my thigh, and I'm the only one who knows. I back dive into the future, pulling at my ankles, and somewhere a light flickers off. The past stretches exposed in front of me as I trip backward, uncertain where the road will end. Bash, wear, hang, release. Somewhere, a father stokes a fire, and ash-dancing toddlers learn the word burn. Buzzards stalk sisters at their basins as vultures prepare to feast. Wash hair, braid, release. I choose to learn the ropes. Daughter of a daughter of a daughter, the dark circles and crow's feet belong to us. We, who have always been we. Watch our feet dance in the open air and know it's for our charms, our working whistle, our anxious giggle, the way we toss back our hair. I live close to the Cowgate, and you can imagine what that's like. And there was one night, I think it was a Tuesday, and I was walking completely sober back from a friend's house with my backpack on after doing some writing together. And there were just all of these groups that you're passing, and it felt a little like walking through groups of animals. So I told this to a friend, and she's like, "Oh, we should write about that." So I've written this poem called Night Hunt, and if you like collective names for animals, you'll spy a few in here, and the full list is in the back of the book as well. Night Hunt. A shiver snaps, circles a girl flexing her bait-like body. Swarms of brats pledge to shoot their shot, even if it stings. Fall into step with the army crawling through the bar. Every night's the same. A cackle, a shadow, an ambush, scouting an open bed. Chirping hens flock in charms while men gather in murders, unkindnesses. Swooping claws grab at shiny objects shimmering under the laser lights. A tower walls the bar, blocks a black and white striped stench from securing drinks. Across the street, a pride squares up to a conspiracy. Pandemonium and colored shirts, the descent of wooden bumpers. I'll just read two more, one of my own and one not my own, but this final poem of mine is called Love and Other Cancers, and it's actually the last poem that I worked on for the book. It was very different in the beginning when I submitted the pamphlet, and with the help of Stuart Sanderson and Tamara Raitt, I did a lot of editing on the poem, and it became one of my favorites for the collection. So this is Love and Other Cancers. We drive 2 hours to the hospital. Christmas tree crammed in the back, poor posture. We bend into our science books. Cancer, a word that comes from crab, from the way its shell sits, clawed legs crawling. The polyps look like mushrooms, sprouting inside the hollowed out log of his colon. His neck swells in mammotus clouds, gaze holds a single ceiling tile. We bless our hospital pasta, try to tame the many tentacled spaghettis. Polyp stems from the word for octopus, but those shapeshifters can't communicate like mycelium roots. His message was lost in translation. Somewhere a neuron mistook go for bro. The temporal lobe listened. Benign has many origins: benevolent, generous, tender, gentle, kind. This well-to-beget tumor sounds beneficent, but resembles a beast budding head after immortal head. Hydras began to grow tumors hundreds of millions of years ago. By discarding apoptosis, evolution's greatest gift is a cell that won't commit suicide. Now surgeons split his navel like firewood, his skull boasting trails of bone saws. The doctor promises there's no pain. The worst part is the sound. We drive home in silence, a word that used to mean be still. The final poem I wanted to read today, it's not my poem, but I just recently got this book by Fatty Judah, and it's day 281 of the Palestinian genocide, so I felt like it was important to read a poem from this Palestinian American poet. This is just the first poem from the collection. I am unfinished business. The business that did not finish me or my parents won't leave my children in peace. In my right hand, a paper. In my left, a feather. To toss, to quill, to meet my terminal velocity. I forget Palestine has a kind way of remembering those who mark it for slaughter and those it marks for life. I write for the future because my present is demolished. I fly to the future to retrieve my demolished present as a legible past, to see what isn't hard to see in a world that doesn't. Thank you, Ted.
Thank you so much, Olivia. That was amazing. Thank you. Before I introduce our next, oh yes, come in. Before I introduce our next poet, Olivia mentioned editors, and they are a really important part of what we do at Studio Rhubarb as well. We're very fortunate that we can work not just with the poets, but we're able to pair them with editors. And over the years, we've had some amazing editors. I couldn't list all of them off the top of my head. Hannah, who's sitting here, has done some editing. Yeah. Yes, great team. We've had Shafir Mohammed, we've had Anthony Van Coppledale, we've had Stuart Sanderson. We've had so many wonderful, wonderful poets and editors in their own right who are a huge part of our process and our journey. And Duncan and I really feel that being able to do that with the poets and to give them that opportunity to have their work looked at with an editorial view is a really important part of getting these pamphlets out and ensuring that their work has been really had the best opportunity to polish and shine. And it's a lovely process to work with them. So I also want to just say a big thank you to those editors that we have. And for those of you interested in knowing who has edited whom, it's all in the front of the pamphlets, and you should look up their work as well, because they are all terrific writers in their own right. I'm going to introduce our next poet. Now, when I was speaking to you before, I mentioned the fact that we do pamphlets, but we also do special collaborations sometimes. And this poet, who is also a visual artist and, do you know what, does an enormous amount of amazing stuff. And I think listing it all would take the rest of the afternoon. But came to us with a really special project after COVID. It became this book, I Remember. And this is essentially it's a long found poem collected from the voices of the people of Glasgow mostly, of things they remember from the pandemic. And it was in tandem with an art installation that he did in the park, Pollock Park in Glasgow, which are beautiful sculptures. If you're in Glasgow, it's worth a walk around. And so we have this lovely book. We also have published a companion book with photos of those sculptures. And it was a wonderful, beautiful process working together. And we really enjoyed working with him. And so when he came back and said, I have another collection, would you be interested in publishing it? As we had a look at the manuscript and found it really exciting and really pleased to put this out. And so we put this out as a collection. So it looks a bit different to some of our other Studio Rhubarb press publications. It's one we're very proud of. So I'd like to please all to welcome Alec Finlay.
Just had COVID for the fourth time just to keep in touch with my work. I wasn't going to do this, but maybe I'll read a little bit from this very sad book. I'm going to read the end section. It's Conditional Cry. I remember old Archie was the first to go, then a second, a third, a fourth. I stopped counting. I remember the slight wave the widower made to the camera as he left the online funeral. I remember I said goodbye, told her how much I loved and would miss her, but she was gone and my words went unheard. I remember that night as clear as day, the night we got the call. I remember my dad, Kenny, saying, I don't mind going to my mother. He joined her on the 21st of April, 2020. I remember holding David's feet just before he exhaled his last breath. I remember my baby, Callan Saul, his whole life just us under lockdown, making spring, summer 2020 the best time of my life. I remember Andrea. I remember Elizabeth, 1948, 2021, always. I remember cooking, walking, chilling out. Then I lost you, my beloved Bob. I remember she was very well spoken. I remember she sounded like a teacher. I remember she knew what she was talking about. I remember Boz, 52, the love of my life. I remember how much I love and miss you every single morning I wake without you, Debs. I remember your joy and your eyes light up every time you see Elijah. I remember my lovely dad, who I miss every day. I remember your infectious laugh, your Dunkirk spirit regarding everything health-wise you encountered. I remember you. I remember Alice, always at the kitchen table. I remember my Linda with love and laughter. I remember my grandma who died of sepsis. My family blamed the vaccine. I remember scrambling for pennies at Uncle Malcolm's wedding all those years ago. I remember when you lifted me on your toes and waltzed me around the room. I remember feeling safe when you carried me on your shoulders. I remember my husband, Jamie, who just turned 32 the day before he went into hospital. I remember Aunt Rita's rendition of the Inveraray. I remember when COVID took you from me, how I wish I'd kept you safe. I remember she scattered half of his ashes here and half there by the shore he loved. I remember a minister on the south side saying to me, at some point we're going to have to remember this. These are poems from Play My Game. There are no gaps, so save any applause for the end. Is Alex Finley still alive? As a student to Lisa in her pattern poetry class. Questions and answers after Paul Celan. What's a beach? An abacus, which counts in lines powered by the moon. What's the sea? If the sea knew what it was, it wouldn't keep coming back again and again. What is illness? A strangeness inside it. What's a pigeon? Not what, but what sky? Jug of blue. Freely in winter. I want what you want, only more snow. The more I read about Virginia, the more I like Vanessa. Her preference, Mrs. Herbert Reed, preferred smash plates from Woolworths. She wants to be with me without being seen to be with me. I understand you very well, better than you understand yourself. Awake in the darkness of a boy's bed with his soft toys nibbling my ears. A pale band of skin where there had been a ring. His wife's other name, long suffering. There you are again on my phone, looking goofy in a memory. Amazon recommends my ex-wife's slim volume of poems. Take her name, sprinkle some snow on, call it a storm. May all your crossroads, may all your crosswords remain unfinished for want of battles, capitals, and rivers of the world. I take my coffee on the tip of her tongue. This surplus of bitterness met with that lack of salt. Time was when pink germaline healed all things. The tortoise is proud inside. The hare needs to be liked. The poet is a legislator who doesn't recognize the law. The lesson of life is what heals us is kindness. It's safe to sleep on the lion so long as the lion is asleep. There is no boat. There is a wake. A recovery day is not the day you recover on. So much depends on the Deliveroo driver in the rain. In 53 years of marriage, their one quarrel was how to cook mushrooms. The stewardess closed the curtain so the rich can enjoy their meal. Proposal: the addition of a zip to butternut squash. With Tracy Emin. Agnes Martin. Agnes lays on her bed, waiting to be dead. Agnes is bored, so death is delayed. One bath, the poet. Another bath, the poem. Teach what you see. Learn when you're seen. A door for those bored of their own story. A window for those longing to be ordinary. A big task is best done by the use of little windows. Curse on an e-scooter thief May your battery always go flat when you are far from home. Elegy for a hot water bottle. I held on too tight in the night. You bled wet, then flopped dead. Snake Island. Well, this is it. Till I tell him. Russian warship, go F yourself. I ask him, do you know her? He says, well, I fished with her. When were you last happy, BF? Do you mean when was I last safe, GF? Black, brown, turquoise. She says they go well, like a bruise. She well knows the difference. Words we can't say, words we don't mean. At 60, you had 6 problems, so they say. At 70, you have 7, and 54 at 54. Tilda says the dog lies flopped on his knees like melted cheese. Anna says, don't make the boat too beautiful or the sea will be envious. She writes me a long letter to say I missed her ring. I'm fascinating, says the interviewer to the poet. He says the fish are back, British, and glad of it. He says he didn't want to write the book of cupcake fascism. My friend says on this day, my dad died in a tweet. He says, pair, despair, I quit. That's another fab New Order lyric. The hologram, an antidote. What if we aren't enough? What if that is true? Share my apple. Let's be friends. Don't use words if they won't fit in your mouth. Being broken, my teaching. Asking for help, my gift. This is from an old film by Louis Malle called Milou in May. Milou will sleep now, his bicycle rested at the end of the bed, while the cherries right in his head. Very much.
Thank you so much, Alec. That was lovely, and I was really pleased to hear you read from I Remember. It's been a wee while since I've heard that, and it's always really moving. We're going to take a little 10-minute break so you guys can refill your glasses on. You will notice that I have now paired my ensemble with a beautiful blankie. This is my own personal scarf blankie. However, the Lighthouse team, being the lovely humans that they are, have put some out on the chairs. So if you're feeling a wee bit chilly on this gorgeous July summer afternoon in Edinburgh, do please avail yourselves of the blankies, and we'll see you back in 10 minutes. And welcome back everyone to the second part. I hope everybody got a nice drink if they wanted one. There will be another break after midsection. Which before we dive into, I also wanted to thank a couple of other people who are not here today, but are absolutely seminal in the history of stewed rhubarb. And they are James T. Harding and Rachel McCrum. Now, a little bit of history for you. It was James T. Harding and Rachel McCrum who first set up Stewed Rhubarb Press back in 2013, a long time ago now. And at the time, I was kind of involved on the sides of the night that was happening actually just across the road, called Rally and Broad. And what they had noticed was that a lot of poets, so they did a night, kind of cabaret night, with another poet, Jenny Lindsay. But at the time, they noticed that the artists who had come to play music and so on all had merch, and a lot of the poets didn't. And so they started formulating a plan about producing pamphlets, but they wanted to make sure they were beautiful pamphlets. And it's really their vision that we're still carrying through today. And I think it's important to acknowledge that. Rachel McCrum moved to Canada, and that's when I stepped in. And it's really a beautiful thing that they set up. And I think it's really important to acknowledge their part in the history of Stewed Rhubarb Press. So even though they're not here, can I get everyone to give them a little round of applause? Yeah, it's definitely a wonderful thing. I'm now going to announce a extra surprise poet for this midsection, who will come on second. But we're very fortunate because Jill Shaw lives in Dingwall, and we weren't sure that that would work out. But she's here, and she will read for us afterwards. But before that, we have the lovely, wonderful Linda McMahon. And just to let you know, their pamphlet has been selling like hotcakes this week. And so we're down to, I think, a single copy here at Lighthouse Books. However, there is a plan in motion to get some more of those pamphlets. And if you'd like one, they can not only be bought here at Lighthouse Books, but they can also send them out. And while I'm talking about the sending things out and internet stuff, I also want to say hello to everybody at home watching, because yes, we are streaming, and you'll be able to watch this back afterwards if you wanted to. So it's all very exciting. But now can I get everybody please to put their hands together for Lyndon?
Thank you. It's really lovely to be here. I was at the first ever Stewed Rhubarb birthday party, the first birthday party, and I made, I think, a rhubarb cake that fell apart. That's my main memory of that day. Yeah, so my very first pamphlet, not this one, was the second pamphlet ever published on Stewed Rhubarb, so it's so delightful to be back. I went south, terrible traitor, for a while, and I came back, and these guys agreed to publish my work, and it very much felt like a homecoming to come back to Stewed Rhubarb. So it's really delightful to be able to celebrate Stewed Rhubarb turning 11, which is, yeah, such an achievement. Yeah, so this is pamphlet. It's a collection of eco poems, and it was a little bit me trying to figure out how I was going to fit into London as, you know, a nature queer. Turns out there's lots of nature queers in London, and it was fine. But I grew up in the countryside, and I lived in Edinburgh for 10 years, and it was quite strange being in this huge city. So this was me figuring that out, and then it was quite funny publishing it when I came back here. It was kind of a like, now I'm going to tell you about it. Here are my holiday slides. I hope it's more interesting. So this first poem I wrote when Ursula Le Guin died in 2018. For anybody who doesn't know, she is or was a sci-fi author who wrote some really incredible books that were really influential on how I thought about the ways that we might make the world a better place. And I really felt, when she died, I really felt that loss of there'll be no more stories from her. So we need to take up that mantle of trying to imagine a better world, which she was so encouraging of everybody to do. So this is called speculative fiction. I want there to be a space commune named Le Guin. It will be on Earth. We will tell each other stories at night. We will believe what we say. The white rhinos will come back and rampage through London, putting their horns through car windows and bellowing songs of triumph. We will call them dragons, get out of their way, and leave offerings to them at traffic lights. I want to walk away and have something to walk towards, to make the stony spaces ours, to learn to grow food in the most unlikely places. I want the soil back. Words will be light and springy. They will be like reeds and we will blow through them. Everything will be a library. I want the bleached coral to evolve into something new, to rise from the sea and tell us we must imagine better. The next one I'm going to do, I haven't even put a little thing on it, but I feel like I want to. I think because it sort of spans Edinburgh and London and that sense of different places that feel like home. And it's inspired by Robert Macfarlane's Lost Words book that he made, which is full of acrostic poems of the names of animals. And it was in response to children not knowing, I think it was something like they know more Pokemon than like real life animals or something. So he made this beautiful book with artist Jackie Morris. And I guess this was kind of my reflection on knowing those names, spanning 2 different cities. It's called Goldfinch. It was bullfinches when I worked in Edinburgh's stone-built new town, where honey dripped down buildings while the sun set. Little round pals who bounced from branch to branch, serious faces under black brows, comical and earnest, like me. Now in London's brutal speed and density, the way we live in cracks between, it's goldfinches who appear in the elder tree outside my bedroom window. Little red face mask, little trick flight, little flock of gold. They flick to gutter, close and bright, wash in mossy rainwater. I wish I could tell them how much I feel their family, how they make me feel more native to the loud, hard landscape of this city. I hope the crusts and seeds will say it, though still I think of tiny line-drawn claws alighting on my fingers. When I was smaller, before I moved away from home, I used to know the names of birds. I was lucky, had a dad who knew them, spoke them out at every opportunity, so I would know them too, I think, but also so that the words would link him to the lives that swirl around us. But they're gone. I didn't say them well enough or often, didn't name them so they'd stay. Did they slough off with my skin or slowly wriggle out like grit? Now we have a garden hung with feeders, this city somehow home to them and me. They keep me company. I say their names like spells to anyone who'll listen, put their pictures on my walls like family portraits. I hear the elder speak in flowers and dark berries. I say their names like spells to anyone who'll listen. This one, they're often really inspired by somebody that I'd been reading. I was doing a lot of reading around, I guess, like ecology and human relationships to the natural world. And this was inspired by Robin Wall Kimmerer, who wrote an amazing book called Braiding Sweetgrass. She's a Native American botanist, and she brings together like scientific Western botany with the wisdom of the people who are her ancestors and her current folk. And she has this amazing chapter where she talks about scientific experiments as asking a plant a question and then listening to the answer. And they don't speak in English, so you have to find other ways to hear the answer. And I was trying to grow pumpkins in the middle of a drought in London. So this was my chat with the pumpkins. What I wish I could say to you is that I'm sorry that the ground is so hard, that the soil is anyway so shallow, that the tiny fruit on the main vine of you is so welcome, and the new flowers all budded up, and I hope there are enough bees. I wish I could tell you what it means that you still grow when I get busy and falter with the watering can. I wish I could explain what it does when you put out new leaves while mine are caught in my shoelaces. I wish that you would tell me what your roots feel and how the smallest threads are growing. That you would chat about the neighbours, what the beans add and what the ants take away, and how the worms are doing in this heat. Instead, I ask, does it help to have bright marigolds beside you? New fruit says, yes. Can I get you anything? The yellow radiating through this big leaf says, food. The droop says, water. This is how we write. The squashes are the sign-off that fondly answers mine. This next one I wrote as part of a residency with Back from the Brink, who were working with people who were trying to save endangered species. And I did this project, and it was about moths. And we wrote, with young people, I wrote some poems onto lanterns, and we put them out, and we welcomed the moths into the moth trap and had a look at them. You attract them with really disgusting, like bananas and vinegar, some kind of horrible mix. Anyway, and this little moth is so small, it's so tiny, and it needs this one particular flower to hibernate over the winter. And this is about that moth, case bearer. I used to think that moths came from the moon and were forever trying to get back to it. Little moth, I said, I know that feeling. Beating yourself against the shine, singing home, home, home in a voice that no one but bats can hear. But now I'm grown, I know that moths come from earth, from soft dark soil and cool leaves, from the break into the light of something new, from the fit of new tongue to flower which whistles sweetness. They are so much from earth that the basil-time case-bearer moth needs one particular flower for winter, evolved together closer than kin, wove their lives over eons and ancestors, became home. And so are we, right down to the out-breath of trees to our in-breath, the way our hands curl around a branch perfectly, how the branch is made of light and air. We pick up a good stick, casual pilgrims, and the fit of the tight curve brings us home. Little moth, I said, I know that feeling, the turn and change, the new light, the dark beneath it, how everything cradles. Thank you. This next one, I don't know, this doesn't need that much explanation. This next one is about what I'd be like if I was a tree. It's called Alter Trigo, and I'm not a I would have flowers which smelled great to bees, but terrible to humans. My leaves would be nourishing, but have an odd texture that no one could figure out. I would reproduce both ways. Parts of me would spread and sprout, but I wouldn't want to give up sex, even if it was facilitated by a third party. I would bear fruit at the same time as my comrades, so we would all have saplings survive, so we would be called abundant. We would have a mycorrhizal network, but we wouldn't talk about it. It would be a secret pleasure to be tangled up that way. My leaves would drop in autumn and I would be sad but relieved. All that pressure to unfurl, all that sunlight weighing on my chlorophyll. I've done a lot of work around queer ecologies as well, and thinking about the ways in which nature is queer. And in fact, we were just looking at it through a biased lens, but also trying to make spaces where queers can feel at home and a sense of belonging in nature, because that is not always the case. And I run a event called Queers in the Woods, where it's what it sounds like. It's a very gently facilitated queer session. We'll play games and do some kind of activities and stuff, but it's also about just getting together. So this is my kind of queer ecologies poem, I guess. It's called Glitter. We hadn't thought about it as tiny flakes of plastic, only the fuck you to the drab world that didn't want us anyway. We hadn't imagined that it would stay forever. Which of us does? We were on the outside and we died and we mourned each other. We wanted to sparkle together while we were still alive, to prove each other right. We wanted our skin to be the sun on the river at low light, wanted spells to make us seen. Perhaps our joy lives in the bellies of fish now, our kin gender flipping all the way down their sparkle scaled. We didn't want to hurt them. Perhaps it's not the worst thing that happens in this world where even straight people are thinking twice about babies. One June, someone shoplifted the biodegradable kind. Oh, you bet it's more expensive. And we drenched ourselves innocent, scalps gritty with hidden glimmers, left a trail on bus seats and threw off licenses. We still want that pure sparkle of light, dirty shine in the nightclub, scattered proton proclamation. Give us glitter, the creases of us say, the ditches of our elbows and the corners of our eyes, but make it soft. Dissolve it like sherbet so our mirth could be part of the river. Let us tell you, it's not something that we have to give up to love this earth. There's a couple more. This one, I paused when I put my little marker in this one, because it's about being really happy that it's raining. And I'm not sure we're feeling that, but maybe it's nice to remember why rain is good. So I wrote this in my first summer in London. You know, I'd lived in Edinburgh for 10 years. I was not built for that at that point. So hot, all the grass had gone yellow, and it was terrible. But then when it rained, oh my goodness. Okay, so that's this. It's called cloud break. God, I am so happy that it's not 30 degrees and it's raining. The bacteria in the soil, when they get too dry, they make a hydrophobic shield and it doesn't let anything out, but it doesn't let anything in either. Now the air is cool and earthy. The smell of earth comes from one specific bacterium. I didn't know that before. Past the hot stone scent now. It's raining, steady, like it never left us. And I was scared and angry of what the yellow grass was saying with its dead, dry bodies. Now here is rain, and it's stroking my hair with misty fingers, saying, I was always coming back, cupping my jawbone in cold drops big enough to make me feel small and safe. I woke under a duvet and breathed in the rain. Oh God, the rain, cool, the lullaby, the soft drone like voices in another room letting you know that the world is still moving, that things are still alive. Look at the heavy elderberries, how they shine. She kept as much green as she could, but now they are shining with rain. Oh God, the rain, miss the rain. And the squashes I have been trying so hard with are already standing taller. And I haven't seen a snail in weeks, but now there's one crawling up the worn-out lily stem. The cat is finally curled into a circle in the hall instead of sprawled to show her belly to the uncooling air. This soft burnish, it's so much easier on the eyes. Silver grey and deep green, everything more touchable. Leaves drip down my arm, soft currents between us, breathing the rain, the rain. It feels like practice for what's to come. I practice loving the rain. Oh God, the rain, harder, so I'll fight better for it. But right now it's hushing, saying, I'll stay with you all day, sweetheart. I'll stay here till you fall asleep. Oh, I missed you. These muddy bare footprints on the kitchen floor say, I missed you. Maybe we can send some appreciation to the rain. It is more difficult. It is much more difficult. Final poem, final one in the book. This was me figuring it out. This was me figuring out how to be a nature queer in London, and bringing some of that sense back here, of seeing how it all fits together. It's called Incantation. I cut my forearm on the shard, let the blood fall into my garden. I take a seed I found in the cemetery-turned woodland with its uncountable textures and clearings floored in leaves, turning to hummus, turning to mushrooms, I take that seed and plant it in the clotted earth. I breathe in out-breath CO2 on the crowded tube like leaves. I know my cells are floating through the tunnels. I eat what I am given. Canal-side blackberries enclosing pollution that drifted into flowers like stardust. Know that you are not a cancer, they say. Know that you are a cell which is plotting to overhaul the city by becoming it. Let the black snot and smog cough be your communion. I speak to the thin fox regarding me from the garden wall. She is not afraid. She says, this is land. This is what we have made of it. I tell her, I cannot bring back the holy grove that some say London was named for. But I can be it. I can take my hands and make them into trees. Excuse me. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Yes, my book is still available online, but yes, there's only one over there. But I think you can still get it on the Stewed Rhubarb website, so you can still get it if you would like it. If anybody is interested in Quiz in the Woods, let me know. I'll sign you up to our mailing list. Thank you so much, Charlie and Duncan.
Thank you, Lyndon. That was awesome. I love hearing that work. It's superb. It's all superb, though. Very lucky. Absolutely thrilled that Jill Shaw could be with us today. Absolute bonus here. I've tried to make the bad joke that she's been on like the sub bench for the Euros, but that's falling really flat because I think much more than a sub, absolutely integral to our Stewed Rhubarb lineup. So please could you give Jill a huge warm welcome.
Have a better review than just a few glasses out. Yeah, we launched Touching Air about a year and a half ago now, right here in Lighthouse Books. So it is a real joy to be back. And yeah, I just want to say a massive thank you really to Charlie and Duncan for giving these poems the perfect home. I was in Edinburgh a couple of weeks ago, closing out Pride Month, a little open mic slot with like poets and Porty Pride, and I popped into the Porty bookshop and I picked up a copy of a book by the Palestinian poet Mahmoud Darwish called "The River Dies of Thirst," and there was a line in there where he said, "Poems choose the side of love, not war," and it feels like a real gift this afternoon to be here with all of you, sharing space and choosing the side of love. So I am. We'll kick off with a couple of heartbreak poems from Touching Air. So my sister is one of the people who I admire most in the world, and she trained to be a chartered accountant, and she spent 10 years working in dividend tax before she realised that it didn't make her heart sing. And part of me is like, it took 10 years. And one night she watched the television programme Dragon's Den, and there was a woman on there from Glasgow who wanted to set up a yoga company to teach yoga to pregnant women. And my sister, who had never done a yoga class in her whole life, went to work the next day, quit her job as a tax accountant, bought the franchise and trained to be a yoga instructor for pregnant women. So she made the transition from dividend tax accountant to moon worshipping yogi. And after my marriage ended, I met another woman and I told my sister to tell her about it. And I was saying, we've got this incredible connection. I haven't felt anything like it before. And she said, yeah, she's your twin flame. Go and Google it. So I did. And I learned that your twin flame is the person who shares your soul. When you meet them, you know instantly, everything resonates. And it said that twin flame relationships are fated and destined. But unfortunately, this particular relationship was not fated or destined, and so this is a poem about losing the person who feels like the other half of you. It's called 15 Ways to Stay Alive. 1, cry as often as you need to so you don't drown the inside. 2, cast a binding spell to undo her magic. 3, make an appointment for acupuncture. Let the acupuncturist read heartbreak on your tongue. 4, eat even if all you eat is mini eggs. 5. Remember to breathe when her name is a sobbing climax. 6. Use your body as a billboard. Wear clothes that scream affirmations you don't believe in yet. Love. Feeling good. Today is going to rock. 7. Forget you wore the shirt that says the day is going to rock on the day she kissed you for the first time. Forget she ever kissed you at all. 8. Pretend today really does rock. Grab an air guitar. Keep your heart out of the mosh pit. 9. Buy a BFF bracelet for dry shampoo. 10. Take yourself to the movies. Wear Slash or red lipstick. 11. Try forest bathing. Plant bare feet on the ground. Let blades of grass be the only blades that touch your skin. 12. Build a bomb shelter from oracle cards. 13. Forget there are twin flames. 14. Light a single flame to burn the card she sent you that told you to stay spellbinding. 15. Stay spellbinding. Another list poem. This is called The Things I'm Left With. Theatre tickets, a tin of paint, insomnia, the last drops in a department store sample of your favourite perfume, a print of the moon as it looked overhead in the night that we met, 5 unopened gifts, beautifully wrapped, a firm pillow on your side of the bed, a quarter bottle of moonlight magic, a length of navy ribbon, Spotify subscription, 4 goodbye playlists, 9 songs I can't listen to, craving for chocolate brownies, a flame-shaped stone that I picked off the beach, lingerie with the tags still on, an envelope inked with my initial, pair of flip-flops to wear when I bring in the washing, 367 Centeroo, used hankies in every pocket, mascara stains on every pillowcase, 16 sets of oracle cards, 3 tarot decks, red spell candles, clear quartz, Luna quartz, smoky quartz, an empty wine bottle, a boarding pass, an unread book of poetry, a signed agreement, a packet of rebels, autumn, and a vase, a 3-inch scar, 4 skipping stones, a page torn from a notebook. I do love you. Next poem was the longest title of any poem in the pamphlet, and I've included it because Mary from Lighthouse Books told me that it's her favourite. And it's called Untitled Poem, which makes it into my pamphlet after my doctor writes to my publisher to advise that allowing me to use a hyphen in a nonette would be a reasonable adjustment. So a nonette is a poem that is 9 lines and it starts with 9 syllables in the first line and then 8. Today, I know that I am healing. For the first time since you left me, I wrote a poem that is not a list poem. There's no figurative language, but it is in poetic form. This one I'm going to read because Francesca told me that it's her favourite. So this poem is written as a glossa, which is in 4 stanzas, and you borrow 4 rhyming lines from another poet, and then you make each of those 4 rhyming lines last line one of your stanzas. So it's kind of like a jigsaw, which is great until your publisher sends you the contract and you realise that you're on the hook for any copyright infringement. So you have to pay Faber an awful lot of money to use Philip Larkin's lines in your pamphlet. And so I have borrowed lines from Philip Larkin from his poem, The Trees. The trees are coming into leaves, like something almost being said. The recent buds relax and spread their goodness as a kind of reef. And my poem is the observation of water. Spring slithers in like lithium, snaking through veins, lifting the depression of winter in its wake. Snowdrops hang, weary heads, crocuses swarm, nature sings, siren song, I answer. Keep coming upon bodies, so many bodies of water, benches by beaches, by riverbanks, by loch-ins, the trees are coming into leaf. Growth unfurls in stillness, stillness gives water a voice, urges it to speak up. I listen for the gasps of waves on empty shores, listen for the whispers of rivers writhing along pebbled paths. I search for the truth held in the open mouths of bodies of water, like something almost being said. I sit on benches with the echo of our conversations. The air screams your absence. I wonder if you sit with her on any of these benches. The screaming air stills. Silent bodies of water hold their truth in open mouths. Branches stretch, breathe, growth unfurls in stillness. The recent buds relax and spread their leafy wings. Leaves take to the air like dancers taken to the floor, waltzing to the gasps of waves, the whispers of rivers, the truth held in the open mouths of bodies of water that summer's tender dance will always lead to autumn's fall. I toe the blades of grass on my feet, my ribs still cage my emerald jealousies. Their greenness is a kind of grief. There's a couple of recent poems. So as Charlie said, I live in Dingwall, just north of Inverness, and I took myself on a little poetry field trip last month to this called Cromarty. And when I was there, I visited Hugh Miller's cottage, which is run by the National Trust. And they have a little courtyard at the back called the Garden of Wonders. So I sat there, sun was shining that day, and I imagined what it might have been like to live in that little thatched cottage at some time in the past with a woman that I love. So it's called the Garden of Wonders, Mother's Yard, Cromarty. I'm sat in the Garden of Wonders with my feet planted on cobbles when the courthouse bell tolls thrice, singing into the afternoon light. Rising, then dipping my heat on the way in to our cottage, rubble built, clay walled, lime harrowed. Ken, you're waiting in the attic, nestled under thatch, under reed, straw, heather, the stairs, carry me to find you laid down with only a whisper, a sheet to keep you hid. Your pins and bodkins clutter the washstand, your plays wrapped in the clitty rug. Let us forget the wag on the wall by the hanging lum. For now, there is just you and me and the open window, the first kiss, a blossom hanging on the trees in the garden, the teeming trill of the birdies, the stretch of the sun's warm fingers, and downstairs, their names carved into the lintel like a promise. This poem is called Yetziti, which is Arabic for grandmother's house, and it's the name of a cookery school that I visited when I went to Jordan. It's in the capital city, Amman, and it's run by two Jordanian women in the house that was their grandmother's house. This is Yetziti. When taking flight was the only way to stand still, I landed in a city with language, too much body, too much smile, too much woman. The streets averted their eyes by delicacies called from every corner. I sought the company of women, culinary companionship in a Levantine kitchen, stumbled upon a sheltered space terrace, warm as a grandmother's hugged air, thick with cinnamon, sumac, and works, wishes, tapped upon upturned pots laughter, rich as pomegranate molasses. Sated, I stepped away from a table of empty plates, drank in the enigmatic beauty of a city I'm longing to understand. Marvelled as every minaret took gold and bass listened, as the call to prayer sang past the lips into dust. For second, a city held its breath, while the jasmine whispered your name. From touch here, and it touches on the Japanese concept of wabi sabi. which is all about finding beauty in things which are imperfect and impermanent. So it's a concrete poem. It sits on the page like half a tear. It's called I Reflect on Our Relationship Through the Lens of Wabi Sabi. In late May, cherry blossoms strew the pavement. Their petals are tiny pink tears. The flattened edges curl and rip and brown. Never was an ending wet so tender.
Thank you so much, Jill. That was really special, and also it's lovely to hear some of your new work. Real treat. I look forward to hearing more of that in due course. We're now absolutely thrilled to have Catherine Wilson Gary come up, and again, you guys ready for another treat? What a brilliant afternoon! So Catherine is just, you know, it's all good. Ready? Thank you.
I appreciate you all being really polite and lovely, but if anyone does want a second to move into one of the dry seats whilst I'm getting ready, that's also fine. Please do move around at any point. Honestly, totally fine. Yeah, thank you so much, Student Rhubarb, for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here, and obviously Lighthouse Books as well, which I think is one of my regular haunts. Lighthouse Book and Big Tesco was my two haunts. And yeah, it's just such a pleasure to listen to everyone. I'm going to read quite a few poems about birds. So if we hadn't had enough bird chat already, we have more bird chat. And actually, the pamphlet I'm reading from is another word for home is blackbird. And just as I said that, it's back. Earlier, I could hear the blackbird, and I was like, I hope the blackbird's still there when I'm reading. It's come back. Oh, that's magic. See, birds' names are like spells, you're right. Okay, so I'm actually not going to read one about a blackbird first. I'm going to read one about a magpie. I love the gorgeous cheek of you. The refusal to fit to human concepts of property and ownership. I have counted you like prayer beads, held your name in my mouth like a good luck charm, saluted you from pedestrian crossings and exam hall windows. And I know, when I wonder if I've ever seen the same bird twice, the feeling will never be mutual. But when you skirt the rain, sit next to my window, I hope you know your magic still sits with me. I discovered recently that magpies don't steal stuff, and they find sparkling objects quite scary. And I feel really bad that we've just collectively decided, like, we've looked at a magpie and been like, yeah, it's probably a thief. The magpie's just vibing, and we're like, yeah, thief. A lot of this pamphlet kind of came out of during lockdown. I kind of started getting really into bird watching, and I actually now officially have a pair of binoculars, courtesy of my husband. So all the bird poems are now going to be in HD. It feels like a huge upgrade, but I've got a couple of poems about bird watching, and this is the first one. When his father died, my dad stopped drinking and started bird watching, as if reshifting his memory like clearing out an attic. Woodpeckers arrived, tempted by the Dobby's premium seed mix, each one adorned with a red flash atop its head like a couple of country anarchists. Just off the bus, I see him stare through the window, wondering if he is conscious of the weight he has attached onto such hollow bones, until a baby, fresh to flight, slaps the kitchen window like a taut wide drum. I've never seen a man fold like that, as if taking a long letter to be pushed into an envelope that was never sent, stuck at the back of the cupboard, the recipient unable to read it. Now a floor poem. That was not intentional. One of our friends told me a fun fact about pigeons, and that was the inspiration for this poem. but I'm not going to ruin the fun fact, so I think it turns the poem. But be ready for the fun fact. This is called superstitions. I collect superstitions like sea glass. I don't believe half the things I keep with me, but knowing someone else out there does gives me some kind of faith. Like crossing a baby's palm with silver makes me hopeful there will be more babies to be hopeful for. Makes me hope for hope's sake. Like hope is a scared horse, and approaching it head on will cause it to bolt. Instead, I ask, can the clouds or the birds stop this? If I tell it to the bees, will they give me something back? I hover over gauges, wheel out the blue, the brown, or green each week like a mass, and somehow I think this keeps back the tide. I read about an experiment that showed pigeons can become superstitious, begging and bowing their heads in the hope of something good. I watch the news at my parents' house, and I think this world, as it is, makes pigeons of us all. Not entirely fun, is it? It's like slightly depressing. Fun fact: you can make pigeons superstitious, and the way that they found this out is they like fed them at different times, and apparently, according to them, pigeon like the last time the pigeon had been fed, it maybe like ducked its head, so it would start ducking its head, thinking that might mean food was coming. But essentially, I saw a video online recently, and it was this guy punching a wall, and the caption was, "Me when I find the person that made us all betray the pigeons." And I really feel that in my soul. And so I have another poem about pigeons, but it's just also whoever that was out there, whoever decided we're just gonna be mean to the pigeons, like I'm coming to them. This is a threat. Your nests are shite, mate. Fodder for mockery, with no attempt at architecture or consideration for your unborn which roll away like dropped pennies. And then I remember the breeding, the post rooms and science labs, and somehow, against the odds of pet cats and missing feet and angry signs at train stations that demand we ignore you and starve you, somehow you're here, in the gap of every city, and the soundtrack of every walk, like the wildflowers that grow through the concrete. Also fine. Like I make it sound like they're horrendous, actually. But like since writing this pamphlet, a lot of like the bird watching that I write about is just very incidental. I've not done any huge trips to go and see cool or exotic birds. It is literally just the birds that are in the park. Give me a lot of joy. And then after all writing this, I found myself accidentally adopting a hedgehog. Because I saw a hedgehog out during the day and I was like, that's really cool, a hedgehog. And then I was like, oh wait, no, they're not supposed to be out during the day. So I took this hedgehog home and I thought, you find an injured animal, you phone someone and they just sort it out. But no, I phoned several hedgehog hospitals, one in Fife, one in Stockbridge, and they were like, yeah, that's great if you just want to keep him overnight, like this is what we would suggest buying. And I was like, is this my hedgehog now? Like, did I? And then I'm gonna spoil because I don't want anyone to be anxious about the hedgehog. The hedgehog was fine. Put the hedgehog outside that evening, and I went back downstairs about 5 minutes later because I realized I hadn't left any water out for him. He was already gone. Yeah, I did like have a full day where I was like, is this my son now? That's the thing about the hedgehog a lot. If you want to see pictures of the hedgehog, come and talk to me. They cost like I'm a dealer. Want to buy a watch? Yeah, the pictures cost £6, but you get a free pamphlet. Anyway, this is my phone with my hedgehog. When I phoned, I assumed that if you find a hedgehog, someone comes to claim it. I'd already wrapped its quiver of arrows in a curry-stained tea towel, ready for hands more knowledgeable than mine, more capable. You would be able to turn it over, understand its exposed stomach like a palm reader. Instead, the helpline gave me a shopping list: dog food, hot water bottles, blankets. This intrusion is mine to keep overnight, like a watchman, like a maternity ward. Do you have somewhere warm, somewhere safe? I opt for the bath. Maternal instinct is thrust onto me as I wipe the wild animal shit from a shower curtain. When I took it back to the woods after hours of beach shopping, I felt the world fall from my back. I was sick the whole week after, as if looking into the shadows and wondering. Those nights were cold, and the bathroom's air hung with bleach. Yeah, that was my bird and hedgehog. When he left that quickly after I put him outside, I was like, has he been fine the whole time? Like, did I, in his perspective, kidnap him? Like he's like telling the other hedgehogs, like, yeah, I know, I was just outside, and then suddenly I was in a big tub, and a woman gave me dog food and a Moomin water bottle. And all the other hedgehogs are like, that sounds great. How do we do that? This is the second poem about bird watching, and I kind of touched on this earlier, but yeah, bird watching for me is like not really something I was gonna say professional at, but are there professional bird watchers? Like, yes. Someone, Hannah, you were so confident there. You're like, yes. I'd love to get paid for it if anybody wants to, but it's a very incidental thing, and it's also my version of like positive existentialism, which is like existentialism is like, oh my gosh, nothing matters and I'm insignificant in the world. And my version of that is like, oh my gosh, nothing matters and I'm insignificant in the world. And that happens especially when I get to see birds, because I'm like, we're going through the worst day of my life and the bird is just still vibing. He's having a great time being a bird. So yeah, I probably should have called the pamphlet "The Birds Don't Care," because they don't. But this is my second poem about bird watching. So bird watching part 2. When it's too much, I take myself bird watching. This practice is not about collection or identification or even knowledge. It is about movement. It is about the thrum beneath a tiny chest. It is about the dead beetles in the dirt, the dried up patches of dirt. It is about the humble species like blackbirds and house sparrows and wrens, and when it is too much, perhaps even seagulls. It is about the way our lives are so small, so painfully small. It is their ignorance held like a handful of walnuts. I borrow it for now. Part of me that kind of hates that, like, in a way, the PE teacher was right, because I was depressed and I went outside and it did get better. But not the way he said. So I've got just a couple more poems. As mentioned earlier, Hannah Lever, who is here, and I'm so excited that you're all going to hear her poems later, was the editor of this collection. And I have to say, like, this collection, but also my writing in general is so much better for having that experience. And this is one poem that, like, working with an editor is quite an interesting experience, because you suddenly go like, oh, I hadn't realized that poem was about that. Because you kind of just go into your room and like stare at the page, and then something comes together. And then Hannah read this poem and was like, you've written this amazing poem about industrial action. And I was like, yes, Miss Lavery, I have. And I ran away and made it way better. And every time I read it, I think, if I hadn't found this home with Hannah and with Student Rhubarb, it would not be half the poem that it is now. So, and I just want to say this, yeah, poem about industrial action, and like now more than ever, our right to protest is so important, and it's something we really have to protect and fight for. So I just want to say that. Every time we walk down the street, 1,000 lives buzz around our heads like honeybees, busily homing their lives. I share my streets with philosophers, builders, lawyers, runners, trombone players, tram conductors, women who wanted to be scientists when they grew up, a picture book writer who stamped inspiration into the pillow creases of small minds. I want to snap this crowd in half, to gift it to the sad faces pressed on the bus windows, or the young widows or the elderly who still volunteer every Sunday, or the little girl who gets bullied at school the way her front tooth refuses to fit in. I want to love these clumsy gods until my heart breaks, until I can't conjure up the words to do humanity justice. So the only skill I can write on my CV to explain all the gaps is people watching 22 years. I am lucky enough to be watching the first stone dropped in the pond and see its ripple buzzing forever around my architecture. In the late night small talk of Memento Mori, of the first poem on the stage that stays long after the microphone is switched off. In the quiet nights in, the love is soldered and burns so bright the light bulbs shatter off what they have witnessed. I want to collect more stones, pebble dash my pockets until I am heavy with possibility. Leave them instead of flowers that float away on the breeze, their presence persistently marking once they were here. They did this. Watch the sand shift around their existence from the bus driver who builds schedules, the barista who brews the start of the day like an orchestral warm-up, to the students with two eyes on tomorrow, to the protesters with two fists of the past, to the musicians who spend no time practicing because they're too busy tuning songs into pitches, to the librarian who categorizes creation, to the nurses and postmen, the teacher and rail workers, the cleaner and call center agents. I want the world to hold you better, for your joy to be unshakable, for the streets to float with the faces you hit with your everyday miracles. In the winter, a bumblebee queen shakes with her whole body to keep her eggs warm, and the movement of one is felt for a lifetime. I'm going to do a really cheap plug, which is that every month I run a rock boat, which is an open mic that happens at Summer Hall, my lovely co-host Julia. But next month we've been asked to do an event at the book festival, and they've given us the Spiegel tent, which is huge, like too big, way too big. So tickets for that are pay what you can, so you can come for free, and please do, you know, if you want to come and you need to take a free ticket for any reason, please do. But also we are currently, our sign up form is still open, and we're going to do a bit of a draw on who's going to read. So if you would like to read, if you'd like to just go along, please do. It is Wednesday, the 14th of August, 6 p.m. So you can go home early afterwards if you want to, which like bed home by 9 is a delight. Or stay with us afterwards and have a drink. And we would love to have you there. So please do come along, or to any of our other nights right here. I'm going to finish with the titular poem, and again, like a huge thank you to Hannah, because this entire collection was just saved as like bird watching ? And then like version 1, version 2, version 3. And I was like, I don't know what to call it. And then Hannah was like, you should take a phrase from one of the poems. And this was the last poem. So we decided on a phrase from this poem. And I just think it's so much better than bird watching ? And I'm really glad Studio Rhubarb didn't get any like complaints from people being like, this tells you nothing about bird watching. It's just this woman having an existential crisis for 5 pages. But this is my poem for blackbirds. Before he was my husband, he told me that another word for home is blackbird. What else feels reliable is that call, the opening of the year which all other birds can only ever hope to catch up to. When I am travel drunk in airports, the first noise I hear is them yelling at a lamppost. We look out the window of the house he grew up in, and I am thankful for the blackbirds we have found together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Catherine. And Rockport is a terrific night here in Edinburgh, and definitely worth taking the time to go along to. And the Spiegel tent event will be incredible. So I think you should have that in your diaries. We're going to take another 10-minute break. Do get yourselves warm. We've got drinks. Also, do buy the books to get them out of the ring and get them signed. And we'll be back in 10 minutes for our Ian McCartney and Hannah Lavery. It's going to be awesome.
Just come back. Don't go.
Definitely come back. Next time, okay?
or like good.
Back, we're really excited for the last section. David, just a reminder, there are a few people who, with their tickets today, have bought books. So if that's you, do remember to pick them up. And also remember that you can get your books signed by all the lovely poets who are here today. There's a wonderful excuse to make sure you've got that, and you've got lovely signed books. But also a wee note that I just had to remember, which I'd forgotten, which is to our lovely writers who are here today, please also sign some books for the Lighthouse. To have, because that'll be awesome. And so if you're somebody who's watching online, hello lovely online people, if you would like to get one of the signed books that couldn't be with us today, you do still have that opportunity to get them by post. Absolutely thrilled. So we've got, actually coming up right now is our newest pamphlet. It's fresh, 5 days old. No, super fresh. It's a little newborn pamphlet. And it's by Ian McCartney, who is going to read for us now. So could we please have a lovely warm round of applause for Ian?
Hello. Thank you. I've come dressed as I would like the weather to be, rather than the weather is. So I'm quite cold. I'm also kind of aware that, we've had such earnest, beautiful, gorgeous, very eco poetry before, and I'm kind of starting to ostensibly quite catty poems. And I feel a bit, I don't know how to feel about that, but do trust me, the rest of the vibe of the pamphlet is kind of zesty summer party. I mean, sun bright, as per the title. But yeah, I mean, like in some way, I mean, it's an honor to be published by Student Rhubarb. I was saying at the launch on Monday that I think I've submitted to them 4 or 5 times before. So the fact that they surrendered to my neurotic stubbornness, I really appreciate. And I apologize. No, but I suppose this specific manuscript really ended up being a lot of the poems that weren't best when read out loud. Question mark, with maybe a few exceptions. But because I kind of stumbled into spoken word and performance kind of when I lived in Aberdeen, really by accident, because I wasn't really necessarily started off that way, or that was my origins. And I think a lot of my ambivalence with spoken word was really exemplified when my ex went on stage and open mic I used to frequent and did a disco with me. Indeed. Ooh. So I went back home and I was like, yeah, here's my response. And then I was like, you know what? I'm the mature one here. I won't perform. So 5 years later. This is Get in the Bin. Get in the bin was our in-joke, endearing insult gone to insult. A relationship was like a hotel room on a stunted city break, something cramped pushed to grey. And if I made you a chameleon, you made me a bin bag, necessary refuse, awaiting dark mouth. How else to summarize our month? I wouldn't say condescending or self-obsessed without meaning them. You took me to your studio. When I tried to walk to the screen past the boundary of a binaural speaker's wire, you intoned no, wishing for silence as your song panned its dungeon hum of clarinet and hymn sung as if to a person's cell. From one side to the other, one human as ear smoothed his mirrored hearing aid. Please, no, I will give you image, then image like that, like when we doubled, when we half gave ourselves a revenge narrative, a vicious distraction on the stage, a persistent observation, where anything but affection was worn on my sleeve, when sucking your tongue, saliva, my frog spawn, birthed only the word sorry. Thank you. Since we're in Edinburgh, I used to work for a certain cultural institution in the city, and it gave me great access to a sort of source text I could kind of make a found poem through. So this is a poem made through Edinburgh International Book Festival feedback forms. Where is the heart? Unacceptable. Very poor compared to my account of last year. Sorry, but not my personal last story venture towards the new site of my last visit. Years loving the restored event let down like the old market. Changed up literally yearly annual tradition. So disappointing. I don't know where to begin, as it was yours to choose this ghastly urbanized venue. You'll deserve always to experience the lack of top authors. An A festival with no produce. Where are the tote bags? The sense of camaraderie from one book lover to the world's not here. Relocate to the business district of the capital, and nothing gay nor gendered, please, let alone the books. Coming out of lockdown is especially hard on the creatives, and for that lonesome reason, I can understand why this disappointment of a knocked-off stall occurred. It makes the Scottish publishers look a bit sad. Don't you even fucking think? If you can do wondrous listening to feedback and suggestions, I suggest you can. I amended my entire life and deserve recuperation. I would actually be better going to Waterstone. Sorry, but that's not brilliant from our perspective. Every person I pass mutters the same thing. No selection, no children's section, absolutely dreadful, etc. The list goes on. I know you are monumentally busy according to our schedule. If you go right now, it will not be a positive response. We have a helpful team, if that is at all helpful. Compared to previous years, this is very poor, but we are very rich. We can rebrand it. We will do something. Thank you. A lot of these I kind of think of as summer poems, but in some ways that it starts with one from January. I felt was important. It felt, and a lot of them are also solar in some capacity. It's usually about the sun or light, something sense. But this is this called Glasgow, January 2019. Last we met, I fumbled into the breakdown so hard, anxiety rose to self-love, cannibalism, gut as chain. So apologies, late gifts, my awkward hug. I remember what love was lost in text left delayed. I'm hungry for a question. How did you shape your words? We regret years slipped into a pot of memory opened only when smacked. Goma. You mentioned the edge of fight in the club across. I lose track of your running. There was the car which garnished your arm and chin with scar. Brawls by the ATM. Bags, effort. Glasgow kissing. Ground floor. Margaret Tate. Headphones glinting red like pears. Cranially distant. We watched cuboids of cobweb light. Withered projections. Live ghosts. Then as we were leaving, our banter caught in the glare of cathode tubes. A moment's silence, someone close to you. Suddenly, we were participating. I thought of you, thinking of me, and you thought of my open minds. When we parted by the subway's upturned glass hood, you beamed, satisfied. I could have found that beautiful, walking away in the infancy of winter. Thank you. Yeah, the next one's a bit of a long one, but I'll be zippy through it. And it's basically, yeah, there's kind of a long story to this one, but long story short, the social construct of the nation state stopped me raving with my friends in Barcelona because the passport renewal took too long after lockdown. And the title is PEX 355-937-2603, which is the ID the government gave me so that I could see the lack of progress in real time. And in Primavera is the name of the festival. Passport track, processing, this loss. Of course, I am to sit in Scottish gorgeousness I was not always used to. Once maroon, filled with green dollars flashing back, is it not for empire that we are all not here? I'm still in the moon rays of a hometown, satellite to all better imaginings of the future, the dearest capital within adulthood's good job, supplanted somehow over realities most never need to deal with. Could there really ever be a day as bright as a grassy synth, with no need for the blue wallets to go elsewhere? The festival at the end of the longest end let a strike of the four for my once in a generation. The beautiful faces of all my friends receive such radiant transmissions from the great gasworks above Barcelona, a city I adored, teenage, out of Scotland. I wrote like it was a wedding cake over there. I was like a husband on that euro note, to be honest, catapulting me over the water with the strong arms, or clapping so bronzy reversed even Icarus. Yes, a miracle of statelessness, soaring beyond every border into Rave's domain, that pearl piercing in every bisexual tongue. Shake friends against global walls of a rising dark fates. How I love you all, except in bureaucratic indecency relegating my ticket even further into absence than before. I could have flashed my phone, winking permission, 3 beers sipped as long as the sun. I could have desired to repeat another third summer of love promised every singular year the way drunks do. Consider my friends scrambling for a while, dizzy in circles, that's at open, the phone a glass can waiting to be slapped out of vibey camaraderie. How like the season to be open, porous, the borders of our orifices so willing, sweat drops like the drop of a dubstep banger. Who knows what acts I would have witnessed, except every group which listed, glittering, ley lines re-stamped, hyper with backing track, a universal ox cable, the village of my life-spun friends beginning some sublime conga line, holding their collective breath beneath the sobering channel, all the way to my flat, hosting wherever the smell of the shore mingles with Union Canal. The air is not quite as sultry as Barcelona, but hey, it's unexpected too, all good weather united in our dancing bubble, twerking cloud as buoyant as oxygen. Now, let me receive every tan the world gambled with. I, quiet with fresh interiority, know nothing but love on the line. Spotify, a machine of love, me licking the screen of my fate like it were sugar or as something crunchy. Snortable, remaining. Here is youth, a heliotrope cocktail. My favorite color is orange for a reason. It captures all essences of light, from the lemony drench of an acid sunrise to the nectarine dusk of this peninsula adored in dreams, the language I learned with that fucking green owl. Duel! Yes, together we spin, dance to decapitation, swap places, new avian necks switching my skull. With his emerald wings, we rise above the crowd, squawking the language of my peers to be, fluent, glazed eyes like candied globes with that soft kick, implying kingdom somewhere else, obviously. It keeps glowing, going, rhythm so on it, and on, till halcyon. I like it here, the steps of my dreaming, where all friends share a peach-tasting cigarette direct via the warmer atmosphere. Then, once done, go-karting round this bright infinity sign, we will hug goodbye so hard no body ever be deemed foreign, exclusively lovable, potentialized, every continent, a unified loving crowd, kind you always dreamed of joining. Thank you. Like Olivia's template, my last poem I wrote was also the title poem, and originally the title was for like a summer playlist song. Then I was like, that's too good, so I should use it for something else. And then I was like, oh wait, now I need to have a title poem that would work. So I kind of wrote this. So it is called Sunburn. Savannah, you fed the pigeons ground pepper. It was terrifying. Only the end of March, but that was enough to take it as summer. Let's do this, another pigeon poem. I'm feeling next to the ground. Sorry. But that was enough to take it as summer. What is it about this season that makes us go on like this? The people asked, taking off their wool. And when or why do we go back into the mist of missed messages? Blackheath dried like blonde hair needing shorn. No storm on the way of Till, of course it was. Every 30 minutes a mood shifts, scorchers amid sparks of rain, as I stumble towards Pollock Park to wait for last year's clarity. It might not quite arrive the way we want it to, chariot and burnished gold, etc. There's still a chance the birches or Highland caps will chat about every seed we want to breathe in, like a teenager dozing warm. The sense these are the only months to be beautiful, wanting wanted, basically. Juice. So yes, I miss the way lovers who have not yet met fill me with waiting love, but I can only walk for as long as the sun stays forever out of reach of the sky and its kiss of atmosphere. Each year, bright bell, pepper, chopped only once. Thank you. This is like also top of London and Pollock Park is already for residents for the rest of the afternoon, which is nice. How much time do I have? Am I good? Okay. One more? Yeah, cool. Okay. Yeah, I can do it. I'll do this one. So this was kind of like BBC Scotland Commission made a few things back during lockdown, and this is kind of one that I proposed to them. They wanted a poem kind of about the turn of the decade, like going from like 2019 to 2020. And I gave them this one, and they were like, "This is too political." So I kind of worked on it shade a bit more, and then it found a home here. And its title comes from the Rebecca Solnit Hope in the Dark, where she says that hope is not a ticket, but an axe. Essentially, it's like there's something kind of desperate and voracious and radical in hope versus something like optimism, which is quite a demure, I don't know, centrist liberal kind of like position again. Or something like that. So yeah, this is called Hope is not a ticket, but axe, or the long 20s. We know the enemy. Meanwhile, our memories reveal that joy does not betray, but sustain. Gay marriage, prestige television, something as small as a walk in the Titanic. To focus on that, like brains under a satellite, seems the only way to survive a decade of terminal decadence in this climate, from leaders who drone to leaders who drone on. Refugees, protesters, activists. It's difficult to hold out for hope when the police pepper spray our lovers. So cultivate like a garden this biosphere in danger, dyed in acid green empathy, blossom in the palm of our hands for each name we give our dying decade. We are microscopes looking for hope. We know their game is up. They are scared and not for you. Blast through the palace gate, flip the remains into a housing estate, draw the shot. Know your enemy, then aim for whoever preems above. Leap into the sun to reach a habitable planet. Do not leave the picket line. Do not remain paralyzed, despair struck. Do not relax. Hope is not a ticket, but an axe. Thank you very much.
That was lovely to hear those. It's a great pleasure to me to introduce our final poet for the afternoon. I was just thinking back, actually, Hannah and I were having a wee chat, and I think when I first properly joined Stewed Rhubarb in late 2018, Hannah's pamphlet was the first one that I was working on the promo and marketing of. And one of the lovely things with Stewed Rhubarb, and I think this afternoon is a testament to this, is that we've built lovely relationships from the poetry. They are the start of something. And as I've mentioned already, Hannah had come in to edit Catherine's pamphlet, and then also came to us with Marjorie Lockby with another pamphlet, which they did an incredible show with at the book festival last year. And it's lovely to have this long-term dynamic relationship, friendship has grown out of all of this. So it's a real pleasure to have Hannah come and close up the afternoon for us. Big hand for Hannah, please.
When me and Charlie walk around, it's always quite funny because I make you look taller and you make me look shorter. So yeah, so I'm also just want to say well done for still being here with the rain. I feel like this shows real commitment to poetry. And I'm very humbled that you stayed for me to read you some poems. My first pamphlet with Stewed Rhubarb was in 2019. And I realized it was my first, I think it was the first time I ever felt like I could call myself a poet. And I'm going to not read from that, but I just thought I'd show it to you. So there you go. That's what that was. And what the great thing about doing pamphlets is often they start as poems and pamphlets and they kind of find a new life again when you do a collection. So I'm going to read some from this new collection, which is not actually out yet, but I think it's really pretty. And so, yeah. But before that, you can see I've been sitting in the rain for a long time as well. So this is what you would be like if you had to get up when you get to. I'm going to read this poem called Radio Silence. And I started writing this poem just when Alan Kurdi was washed up. Do you remember that little boy that was washed up? And we kind of felt like that was the moment everything will change. No one, we can't carry on like this anymore. And here we are, and it's still happening. And we're still scrolling through and ignoring and feeling. So I wanted to write, I've been adding to this poem over the years. So I'm going to read this poem to you first, in solidarity with the people of Gaza and for all the people that are fleeing war and living in. Yeah, so it's called Radio Silence. She begs down a phone, protected from the sea, calls numbers on a card wrapped in plastic, given by a camp volunteer. Answered by hard voice, disconnected troll in the dark. He lies there, like the way mine sleeps. He looks just like mine, just like yours. And soon he will run from standing start to impossible up those sloping dunes. Her son will remain lost prince, wee darling, forever buffeted by the surf. Her voice streams into my kitchen, and I hush the radio for fear they will hear. I turn it down to shrink the world to just us. And they tell me it's much more complicated, that it has nothing to do with us. We have worries enough of our own. Be careful, they say. This truth is not truth. These lies are not lies. This pain is not ours to feel. And I am told I don't understand the nuances, the history, and I really shouldn't sentimentalize. These people are not people, you know. And aren't you happy? And do you really have the time? My son nicks himself at the edge of a story. Her son is beaten at the borders with empty belly by the weapons we made, by the things we did, by the things we didn't do. I was speaking to my daughter and I said to her, I'm a feminist. And she says, well, what's that then? And I said, well, I'm an intersectional feminist. And she said the wonderful thing. She went, well, how does that feel? So I wrote a poem in this, which I've now just realized I've put all these different. Anyway, I wrote this poem about how it feels, I suppose, and what it is to be an intersectional feminist in these days. Which feels telling that I actually can't find it. Well, that's searching. But I will find it. You'll all find it. So it's inspired by the line in Jekyll and Hyde, which is, I suffer him to go his own dark way. It is in here, and here it is. So this is for my beautiful two daughters, but especially for my eldest daughter. But still they come for her. My darling, cast me your lion. Turn me to steel. Make me your armor. Build me to barricade. I'll take their blows. Count me a kindness. Label me trial. Leave me your witness. I know who you are. Bury me deep root. Plant me to meadow. Break me. Break us all into the new day. My darling, I'll take their blows. The first half of this book is all about the unwritten women, the women on the margins of Robert Louis Stevenson, Jekyll and Hyde. And the second half of the book is about what it is to be unwritten as a woman and an artist of colour in Scotland. So this comes from something that Jackie Kay said. Well, I said she said to me, but she says it to every audience she's ever in front of, actually. But afterwards I said to her, anyway, I'll tell you, it's in the title. Jackie tells me about the time Audre Lorde told her she could be Black and Scottish, elongating the and. And I say, that and is the thing. Aye, it is. Aye, it is maybe what she says back to me. Aye, Scottish, and into the sea for the Duke, cursing all that bloody cod to run in raucous Ruby Raw or bunch of loons or tangled and tinselled with regrets. Aye, knowing all the words and what is really being said. Aye, but still singing. Aye, still holding back your tongue, wind your neck in and leave it, pal. Know where you belong and who you belong to. That view. Aye, that bloody view. All truces. Paper. Towns. Aye. Exactly. Very well. So this poem found home first in the pamphlet I did for Street Rhubarb with Marjorie, and now it's found another home here too. I've also been practicing really long titles. In fact, I've done such long titles that I've actually achieved it where I've got such a long title that is longer than the actual poem, which I won't be done. I find myself saying when questioned, in an attempt to cement something, that my father was a black man, but maybe he was a brown man, or was he only ever half a man, half mythic? I find myself, after all these dead years, still looking for him, that familiar rush threatening to topple me, anxious again that the gap between step and platform will widen and take me away. I become an obstacle on a busy thoroughfare, listening for a ghost. Darling, I'm over here. This is another poem from this collection. We were asked to respond to Edwin Morgan. So we're responding to each other, and we're also responding to Edwin Morgan. So there's a poem that Edwin Morgan wrote called The Starlings, which is great, another bird. Starlings in George Square. So this is called Starlings in the Square, and a quote from Edwin Morgan, which is, I wonder if we really deserved starlings. And really the poem is about the starlings are not really birds. They're all the people that kind of invade spaces. Who are the starlings? Are we the starlings, Edwin? to be understood only as their metaphor, seen only in their reflection. Poor relation, appreciated but as disruption, much needed jot, tolerated like medicine, the Sunday lesson, the temporary upset, the latest fad. Who are the poets, Edwin? Are we the starlings? Come only to disturb their world. In this collection is the things I called theatre announcements. So I'm going to read you one of those, and then I'm going to read a couple poems in response to that. So, theatre announcement. As a white woman, I understand I cannot possibly understand your experience. Is it your liberalism that leaves us so untranslatable? Is what you do know as. Saturday. It's a real Edinburgh poem. For anyone who grew up in Edinburgh, hopefully you'll recognise some of this. But also maybe if you grew up in Edinburgh at the time I grew up in Edinburgh, which also probably reduces the audience slightly. Okay. Saturday. Meet you by the Fraser's clock. We'll go to the gardens to feed the squirrels monkey nuts that we'll get from the ice cream van. On the bus, top deck, front seats, faces pressed up to the glass, and once all the way to Burnt Island for the fair. Easter egg roll at Silvernows, Mass at Muirhouse, messages from the shops at Drylaw. At the Royal Infirmary, you laugh coming up the steps to meet me as I bounded down to you in surgical supplies. Hiding behind you at clan-like gatherings, banging pots with you in our kitchen band, on your lap giggling as you powder puff talc between my toes. Musical statues to the sound of the broom banging on the ceiling below. Early mornings in my nightie, watching you armour yourself in your makeup and heels on our knees in front of the priest at your feet, feasting on shortbread at your table, hungry for chow. Refugee camp, mythical lands, here be dragons, survivalist fairy tale, passed down resilience, war turned bedtime story, the trauma inheritance, kiss before lights out, head to toe with a visiting sister, coming sleepy of the number 32, just sprinting two at a time, tap on high window, still has me looking up for you, hand raised, waving goodbye, like instinct, watching the fireworks over Edinburgh Castle light up the back room. Theatre announcement. I can't believe this is still happening. Opening her laptop to show everyone her 7-point plan. Seeking clarification. EDI. Engendering disappointment. Institutions. Right, that's the end here. So, these are poems that just ask me it. This poem comes from, and I'm really sorry for language, but it's all comes. So, at the Museum of Childhood in Edinburgh, there is a big exhibition, like display case, full of all these lovely little porcelain white dolls. And right at the end of this row of porcelain white dolls is a gollywog. Gollywog at Museum of Childhood, Edinburgh, 2024. We knew you were there, had been told, forewarned. Stood in front of you, ready, set, go for starting gun. See you there, at the end of the rows of white porcelain dolls, pretty, with perfect bones. Something resonated. Your oddity shared that look of recognition, like the one I found in the faces of aunties as a child. Oddity in white city. Theatre announcements. We want the difficult conversation. Sung a cappella. The budget doesn't stretch to a band. 4 poets of colour. Warm up with hot chocolate after the Edinburgh's Black History Walk in an Italian cafe on the Royal Mile. This Italian cafe was once called the Sugar House, called St. Christopher Sugar House, taking its name from the island of St. Kitts, with a big shareholder in that sugar house, William McDowell, had considerable plantation. We hoard bitter sugar, let it build to boundless bounty behind our lips grown tight, made purse with our whisperings, given like a sermon at the edge of a grand square, revelation in the doorway of a boutique hotel, furies which mingle now, like desperate actors, with the Euro pop beats, the joint the Polish waitress just had in the close. We watch our newly found secrets rise up, rallying, dissipating, like a drowning, like a childhood, in our leaving breaths. Take a minute to look at our reflection caught, bad selfie, in the mirrored glass behind us. One more, and then we can all go out of the rain, or back into the rain, or buy books, or drink wine. I'll give you other instructions, things you can do, but I'll stop there. Theatre announcement. We'd like to apologise. The playwrights of colour having breakdowns in the foyer. We'd like you to know we are very aware of it. On seeing Alberta Whittle's exhibition Create Dangerously with my friend at the Scottish Gallery of Modern Art in Edinburgh, she stands fixed to a spot in front of a series of self-portraits of Alberta Whittle in the Modern Art Gallery in Edinburgh. Her body, it's like my body, she says. All her beauty is like my own. Like she's whispering to some secret part of herself. Beautiful. She turns back to me, sitting on a parenthesis. We walk around the rest of the exhibition as if holding hands. In the sunshine, we complain about the cost of our salads. And I think to tell her what she means to me, but instead take her empty plates back to the counter, wiping the crumbs from our table, from the sleeves. Thank you so much. And well done.
If we could have, so before I get you, give one more last round of applause for everyone. Do buy the books, get the poets to sign it. If you're not buying the books, you can still go and say to the poets that you think they are awesome, because they are all awesome. I know this for a fact. It's such a privilege to work with all of them. So I want to say my final thank you, which is the poets who are here today, but also all the poets who have worked with over the years who aren't with us today, because it is such a joy for me and for Duncan to be able to do this with Stewed Rhubarb, and we're just thrilled to bits. So now, please do buy books, get them signed, have some wine, tell poets you love them, and a huge round of applause, please, for the poets and for the Lighthouse Books.